Good evening, Guardians. Welcome to a very special pre-launch Forsaken discussion. I'm Ben. On the other end of the microphone, that's Brent. You know who we are because, of course, you guys watch Tower Talk every week. You guys love it because it's a great show. But Brent, as usual, you and I are here to talk any and all things Destiny. And obviously, tonight's a very special night. We are just hours away from the launch of Forsaken, Destiny's next big expansion that, for all intents and purposes, Brent, is a brand new game to hit us here in mere hours. We're all super excited about it, so it behooved us to hop on here, talk about Forsaken, get the people ready for the launch tomorrow, and sharing our enthusiasm of the upcoming launch of Destiny 2 Forsaken. So my first question to you, sir, how are you this fine evening?
Dude, I'm ready. I shut down the engines last week. Moody, what's up? Moody's in the chat. Moodini 31.
What's up?
And
What's up, Moodini?
Dude, it's just been one of those weeks where I just shut everything down, played some other games, and got to play a little bit of Gambit. But I'm ready now, dude. I'm gonna get a good night's sleep tonight, and I'll be ready to go at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, you know, I haven't played much of anything this week. I actually got a night in with Destiny finally last night. It was the first time I've touched any game all week, so I was able to get in last night, do a couple things, actually get my first hands-on time with Update 2.0, which I haven't been able to do all week, crazy enough as that sounds. So yeah, had a lot of fun getting into it and kind of getting one last hurrah with it before Forsaken hits us this upcoming Tuesday. And you know, Brent, before we get into Forsaken and everything that's coming with that and talk about what we can expect from that release, I want to spend a few minutes just reflecting on year one of Destiny 2 here. And you know, obviously there's been a number of ups and downs throughout this year, the first year of Destiny 2. And you know, depending on who you ask, those ups and downs are to varying degrees. So I just kind of want to spend a couple minutes here, just reflect on our own experiences with the game. Just for myself, you know, I was just checking this out before the show, and I have almost 300 hours in Destiny 2 right now. 295 hours is the count that I got off wasted on Destiny.com. I'm not sure where you're at. I think you're ahead of me by a few hours, so you're probably over the 300 hour mark yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I looked at my Destiny 1 stats as well, and for all of Destiny 1, 411 hours over the course of 3 years. I've already done 75% of that in the first year of Destiny 2. Which is crazy to think about, because I felt like when Destiny was out, that was literally one of the only games I played. So the fact that somehow, some way, we've scaled up that much is unbelievable. So, you know, the reality is, Brent, when it comes down to like brass tacks, I've had a lot of fun with year one of Destiny 2. I've got a lot of play into it, a lot of good times out of it, and you know, Bungie started things off actually pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they came out, they brought out a new game in Destiny 2 full of brand new content, full of new promises, full of new things that they wanted to accomplish. They gave us an open world that was far more interesting to explore than the open world in Destiny 1. They brought to us a narrative that was improved from Destiny 1, still not great. We've talked about that ad nauseum on the podcast, but a narrative that I was ultimately disappointed with again, but vastly superior to what we had in Destiny 1. We had, you know, just brand new loot. The graphics were improved. They did a lot of good stuff there, and the reviewers took note of that. Destiny 2 came out of the blocks hot, reviewed extremely well. And if I don't know what the Metacritic or the Open Critic score is, but it's really high for that game. So it came out, and it's interesting because we didn't really see the problems with Destiny 2 at first. They didn't become apparent until a couple weeks after launch. It's very interesting. It's almost the polar opposite of what we saw with Destiny 1, a game that came out and many people had issues with it right off the bat, but that was a game that a few weeks later people started to be like, okay, this thing's starting to pick up steam. I start to see like where this thing's going. And Destiny 2 is the complete opposite. It came out hot and then ran into some issues some weeks after launch. So we understood, you know, a few weeks later that this game just didn't have the depth that we were expecting from Destiny. It didn't have the random rolls. It had static rolls. It was far more catered to the casual crowd than the hardcore Destiny crowd that had lived off of this game for the last 3 years in Destiny 1. And these problems all came to a head with the release of Curse of Osiris, which was, there were some issues with some of the things that Bungie did in terms of releasing content, how much content was included with Curse of Osiris, which, personally, if you go back and look at Curse of Osiris, the story, once again, didn't deliver on all the promise that a story like that could have had. But I thought the campaign was still fun to play through. I thought the weapon forge was a cool idea, and I had a lot of fun tracking on those things. The raid lair, Eater of Worlds, is actually spectacular. Mm-hmm. So this stuff all came out of the Curse of Osiris release, and so it's like underneath all the disdain and really what it came down to was the hardcore crowd just not happy with the state that the end game was in. That was really what it came down to. So we couldn't really see the forest through the trees at that point. We couldn't really look past the fact that this game was not the hobby that we all wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. So after Curse of Osiris, Bungie took a hard look at Destiny. They basically completely revamped the way that they were doing this game, the way that they were communicating with their fans. So I don't know who took the reins on this over at Bungie or who kind of spearheaded this, if it was simply the studio heads or somebody else. But Curse of Osiris was a huge turning point, Brent. Sometime in December, and I remember Bungie putting out that letter or whatever it was to the fans, like, look, we're going to change the way we do things. Mm-hmm. We hear you guys loud and clear. We're going to dig into this game and make this the Destiny that you want. And they went to work. So weeks go by, and they're changing this, they're changing that. They're soliciting feedback and really trying to get in there and rework the things that we had issues with this game, to the point that once Warmind hit, the game was vastly changed. And it's crazy, man, because Destiny 2 essentially has the same path or the same trajectory that Destiny 1 had. A game that came out, was flawed, found a fan base. With the December release, with the Dark Below, that was when the thing hit rock bottom. People were like, there's not enough content here, not happy with this. And then when House of Wolves arrived in May, mm-hmm. completely changed the face of that game and set the stage for what we'd eventually get with the full-on change with the Taken King. That's the same exact story that we have here with Destiny 2. Same exact thing. Mm-hmm. The May update comes out in Warmind with a narrative that honestly is the worst narrative Destiny's ever produced in that campaign. But everything else around it completely transformed this game. And Brent, I've literally been playing this game nonstop since the release of Warmind, nonstop mm-hmm. for 2 months straight. And it's been a ton of fun. I've had a lot of fun with Destiny. Some probably the most fun I've had with this game mm-hmm. over the last 2 months. And now we're here. Last week things came to a head with the release of Update 2.0. It gave us random rolls, it gave us the updated weapon system, and it has set the stage for everything that's going to come to a head tomorrow once Forsaken releases and Bungie kind of makes good and comes full circle on this promise of completely revamping the game, and Forsaken is the results of that. They literally seemingly left no stone unturned with Forsaken. Every time you think of, I wonder if they touched that, they touched it. Mm-hmm. Like every single aspect of this game has been dug into and molded and changed, and we are going to see the culmination of the fruits of their labor tomorrow once everything is finally in our hands with Destiny 2 Forsaken, Brent. So like I said, man, when all was said and done, I had a great time with Destiny in year 2. Like there's a lot of good stuff I'm gonna remember. I'm gonna remember the moments of triumph once again, coming down to the 0 hour, finishing that up, doing raids in the middle of the night, at 3-4 in the morning, mm-hmm. trying to knock out these moments and that kind of stuff. I'm gonna remember driving home from work and seeing all this chatter on YouTube and Twitter and seeing people talking about the Whisper quest that just suddenly appeared, and me sending you a message like, dude, what is this? and then finding out that everybody's talking about this. And that's the kind of stuff where Bungie is just kind of they just seemingly are soliciting that feedback and learning from their mistakes. I can't remember a story like this in gaming in quite some time, where somebody has taken a game that had a lot of issues and as far as the community feedback was concerned, mm-hmm. and literally just piece by piece, like how do you eat an elephant? Mm-hmm. One piece at a time. That's kind of what they did with Destiny 2 here. Just picked away at it piece by piece. They've been just kind of week after week a new change they're fixing here, a new hot fix here, a new update coming here, a new roadmap that they put here, and they've put so much work in this game. It's clear that they're passionate about this game. So I have a lot of respect for what Bungie has done with this game, and I'm ready for Forsaken, dude. But I wanna get your thoughts on Destiny 2 year one, your your experiences, your ups and downs. I imagine at the end of the day that your experiences are similar to mine, because I think we kind of view this the same way.
Well, first of all, shout out to the guys in the chat. Moudini's in there, Fear the Beard's in there, Badass
Beard,
Lord Tipsy. We have
Tipsy.
Dark Shadow Wolf. Badass actually said, Lord Tipsy said, Solstice and Whisper brought him back to Destiny 2. That's what got him back into Destiny 2. They've both been talking. Moody's been talking about how he had 800 hours in Destiny 1, but he's now getting back in with the Moments of Triumph and Solstice as well. Lord Tipsy had over 2,000 hours in Destiny 1.
Woo!
Wow,
Tipsy.
that is beastly, sir. That is very beastly. We got Flair on the chat as well. Always good to see our fellow Destiny 2 fans. It's always good having you guys in the chat. But
it's good to see the Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said, dude, is pretty much how I feel about year one. I mean, it started off great. We had the game come out, and everyone was hyped, and we're like, oh, cool, let's battle. Let's battle Gaul. And we played through the campaign, and it was disappointing just because Gaul wasn't utilized the way we had hoped he had been. I think they could have tapped into his story a little bit more and gave his character more depth, but it is what it is. It just came back to the whole thing where maybe Bungie just can't find a way to put out a rich narrative experience, and that is what it is. And we kind of accepted that, and it got worse with Curse of Osiris, and even worse with Warmind. It's funny because Tipsy said, "Pick Warmind was the best, and you know it." So I don't know about that one, Tipsy, but it was just it's been an interesting ride because it started off hot. And then the weaknesses started to show. The cracks in the armor started to show, and people became concerned about the longevity of this title. And we saw a lot of the Destiny community move on to something else. They were disappointed because it was geared towards casuals. Even Bungie had admitted it. We had geared it towards casuals. And so, with Warmind, we got to see some improvements. And then the Solstice of Heroes event, Moments of Triumph, kind of brought everybody back in to grind out some stuff. And then we had all this talk about Forsaken. Bungie started leaking information. Here's what you can look forward to: the Dreaming City, Tangled Shore, Gambit, Breakthrough, the new the new Crucible mode that we're going to get into. So you start generating all this buzz, and obviously this looks awesome. I mean, they showed in all these vid docs all the changes they've made based on community feedback. That's awesome. That's stuff that we want to hear. These are changes that we wanted. We got to see a little bit of it this week with the weapon slot changes, and we're starting to see this game kind of transform into what we want it to be. Now, my only concern in this regard is as of right now, is basically the concern that happened after every DLC release we've had so far. With Osiris, there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of excitement for it. And then when it came out, didn't hit the marks. It was disappointing in multiple ways. Same with Warmind. A lot of hype building up for Warmind. We're like, okay, this is going to be a sweet add-on. This is going to get people back in. Weak story. But we had some other cool stuff added. Escalation Protocol, one of the highlights there. Some cool stuff there. But here we are again, getting super hyped. We've attached, this is the Taking King expansion of Destiny 2. I just want to make sure that this actually comes through and is what we were hoping it is. Because in my opinion, boys, this is a big expansion for Bungie. Obviously this is big for us, but this is big for Bungie because, dude, on the horizon now, we have the Division 2, we've got Anthem. These games are just right around the corner. This is Destiny 2's one of their final chances to really secure this community and keep all Destiny players focused right here on Destiny 2. Everything that's coming out with Forsaken and everything that's going to launch in December and in the spring, this stuff has to deliver, dude. This is going to be the last time that this community is going to accept a burn if it doesn't deliver. That's my biggest concern. They really have to deliver on this. I know the hype is there and everyone's really excited about it, but I also believe that this is a key moment for Bungie.
Yeah, definitely. And that is a topic we are going to discuss further as we go along in the show here. But before we get to that, Brent, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we're excited for in Forsaken. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, like I mentioned, there's a lot that's changing in this game. No stone left unturned as far as Destiny goes. So, Brent, is in your mind, like, what are you most excited about for Destiny? Like, give me your top 3 things.
Well, I mean, right
for
now,
Forsaken.
I mean, for right now, it's the one thing I'm most excited about is the Dreaming City. Because, we've been to Mercury, we've been to Mars, and Mars is obviously a little bit better than Mercury. I think Mercury, despite, with the exception to its public event, which was probably the most elaborate at the time, and still really fun to play through, Mercury was kind of disappointing because it was so small, and we can't just run into the
Infinite Force.
Infinite Force. You can't just run into it anytime, and that's disappointing because there's 3 different variations. There's the past, the future, the present, or alternate, whatever one there is. We can't just jump in there and explore those areas, which is disappointing because I think I've been to the future one twice. I've only been to the future one twice, so that's disappointing because I want to run through that area and kind of explore things and see what's out there. So the Mercury was just kind of disappointing in terms of its scope and scale. Mars was a better improvement because obviously that includes Escalation Protocol, and that's great. But the Dreaming City and Tangled Shore, these are massive. These are going to be massive areas to explore, and Bungie has talked about the Dreaming City. There are going to be hosts of tons of secrets hidden within the Dreaming City. The Dreaming City is going to change as the raid goes on. As people beat the raids, it's going to physically change the layout of the Dreaming City. So there's a lot of cool stuff to look forward there in terms of areas to explore, things to do within these areas. So that's my biggest, that's one of the things I'm most excited about, is just exploring the Dreaming City, dude.
Yeah, no doubt. The fact that we're getting a brand new end game area. This is the first time this has ever been done in Destiny. So this area is literally just going to be focused on the end game of this game. And from what we understand from the things that people have been saying, this is not like a Mercury type area. This is a huge area, maybe on par with like Nessus, which is one of the largest areas in Destiny 2 right now. So the Dreaming City is going to be huge. The Tangled Shore is going to be huge. So this is the first time we're going to get one of these brand new updates and have 2 massive new spaces to explore. Even when we got the Taken King, we got the Dreadnought, which was huge and full of secrets and a really cool area, one of the coolest areas they've ever done in Destiny. But even that was just by itself. There wasn't a whole other huge like end game area for us to go to. It was the Dreadnought, and that was where the Taken King was focused. With this expansion, the scope is even greater. Having the Tangled Shore and the Dreaming City is awesome, man. So yeah, I can't wait to get into the Dreaming City, explore its mystery, see how it changes with the evolution of the game from a week to week basis. Like that's gonna be really, really cool to see. The next thing I want to touch on in terms of us being excited about is Gambit, dude. Obviously we just played the preview of Gambit over this past weekend. Actually, I didn't even get to jump into it on Saturday. I ended up being busy with other stuff. Didn't get a chance to hop in and play the game. But yesterday morning, I was able to get in there and get some matches in before Gambit went out. And as everybody's been saying, Gambit is spectacular. Gambit is a game changer. There is nothing else out there that's quite like Gambit. It's clear why it's getting the praise that it's getting. It's such a cool mode, seamlessly blends PvE and PvP. I thought it was spectacular, man. I had a great time with it. I wasn't even in there with our crew. I was just in there just playing. And it was a lot of fun. So I can just imagine when we get a squad of 4 in there and we go into Gambit and just start wrecking house, invading people, taking out primevals. And the thing that struck me is just how strategic Gambit is or can be in the right hands. And obviously, like, looking at it from afar, we're like, oh, okay, I can see there's going to be strategies and things that we can do to to try and attain a victory here. But there's a lot to think about in Gambit. Like, when do you bank your moats? When do you summon blockers? When do you invade the other team? Like, how do you plan out your strategies? And just as the few matches I got a chance to play, I was just going through my head all the different scenarios in terms of how we could tackle this match, and I learned a lot in those few matches I got to play. Like, my strategy was I was going to go in and right off the bat, I was going to try to get 15 moats, get him in there and send out a huge ogre or whatever it was, blocker to the other, send out a large blocker. Like, I was like, all right, beginning of the match, I want to bank as many as I can before everybody gets their moats and yada, yada, yada. So I started to go with that strategy, and I banked it a few times. But one time, the other team, they sent an invader over when I had 15 motes.
Oh no.
And I was going to deposit them, and the thing that they did that was smart and one of the best strategies that I've seen in the game so far is what they did was they sent over, it was either 1 or 2 blockers, closed off our bank and invaded simultaneously.
Oh,
so they closed down the bank. I'm running over to deposit my motes. This guy is invading our map, and he's running over straight for the blocked area, knowing that we're going to deposit our motes.
Yep.
And I fell and lost all my motes at that time. So I was like, it's stuff like that I didn't even think about prior to this. All of the little nuances that go into this game. Like, what if in the beginning of a match, if you guys are all communicating on the same team, you're like, look, we're gonna go out here, everybody's gonna kill all the ads, but one guy is gonna pick up the motes. One guy is gonna get his 15 motes. He's gonna run over there and send a huge blocker over and put the cramps on these guys right off the bat, and then we'll all start getting stuff and banking it. Like things like that you can do. I didn't realize how strategic it was gonna be, and I cannot wait till we can get in there with a full squad. We're gonna be streaming Gambit all the time. I'm sure of it. But this mode's awesome, dude. When you go over as an invader and you start wrecking the other team, because you go over there, you're like a little bit more powerful than they are as well. So it's awesome. Go over there with a fusion rifle, just start wiping people out. It was awesome. It's a great feeling to go over there and invade and just wreck house. Gambit is freaking awesome, dude. So I'm looking forward to more of that, no doubt, especially with the ranking system and the rewards that we've seen that are going to be available for that.
Yeah, dude. I hopped into Gambit on Saturday. I can't remember what time it was, but it was on Saturday. And I tell you what, I had the same feelings you did about it. I think it's a sweet mode, but I did not have a crew that knew what they were doing, and they weren't using mics. And you can still go in there and have a good time and stuff, but when it comes to being able to call stuff out and knowing what to do, if you're playing with a crew that isn't sticking to the objectives, I can't tell you how many times I was running around and I was killing stuff, and I'd look over to the distance, and I'd see a bunch of motes on the ground. I'm like, why aren't we picking these up? And by the time I go over to pick them up, because they're only on the ground for so long, they vanish after a certain amount of time. And as soon as they get over to this area, they all vanishing. I'm like, oh my god, why are we not picking these things up, dude? But yeah, dude, it is hot when, especially when the other team summons their prime evil, and they've got their big baddie out there. And I had the Sins of the Past rocket launcher. One in invaded their side, and they had already had their prime evil down to just over halfway. And man, I had the whole crew around the prime evil, and I lit them up with the Sins of the Past and killed 3 of them, and then took out another guy. And when you see the health meter for the prime evil go all the way back up because of the kills, oh my god, instant satisfaction. It was amazing. It was so fun. But got some questions in the chat. Tipsy says, is Gambit once a week mode, or how will it work? I think this thing is just going to be available at the bottom of the screen at all times.
Yep. It's basically another node on the director that you'll always be able to access.
Yeah. Yep. So that's basically what we understand. It's just gonna be like Crucible. You'll see Crucible there, and then you'll see Gambit. He also ran into a full team of randoms on Mars and knocked out Escalation Protocol. He said Escalation Protocol is epic when enough people are there. 100% agreed. Escalation Protocol is really underrated because, and I say underrated because what he mentions, it's incredibly difficult to get a full group of people in there, a full group of people there that are ready to commit to it. Because, we've done that a couple times where we'll jump in there. There's like 5 people. We're like, okay, we might be able to do this. And you start it up, and immediately like 2 people leave. And you're like, no! And so that's disappointing when that happens. But no, Tipsy, you're right. Escalation Protocol is absolutely fabulous. It's a great mode. But Gambit, yes, I'm excited to play with friends, use microphones. There is going to be some strategy there. Bungie said anyone can jump in and play, but there is going to be a lot of depth to the strategy. Who stays back? Who invades? What's the best weapon to use there? Who's going to watch for the other invader? And and like you mentioned, those invaders, people invading your games have like an extra shield, so you're going to want to have a shotgun roaming around looking for them, or a rocket launcher to get rid of them immediately, because they can cause a lot of havoc. Like you said, summon up a couple of heavy blockers, and then they come in at the same time, and you got issues. So it's an incredibly intense mode. It's super unique to Destiny. It's nothing like we've ever seen before, and I can't wait to hop in there with you guys because it is going to be a hell of a lot of fun, and this is a mode you're going to want to play a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to get in there and play some more. And I took that strategy from those people with the blockers the next match. So the next match pops up, and I was just kind of playing around with the game. I wasn't talking to anybody in there. I wasn't plugged in microphone wise, but I'm watching these guys bank their motes, And as soon as they banked and sent a blocker over, I hopped into the portal myself, went over there to invade, just started wrecking people around the bank. So it's yeah, that mode's sweet, man. I can't wait to play some more of that. It was funny too. I was on Twitter. I think it was T-Rex, who's a well-known Destiny streamer, but he posted a video where he had the Telesto.
Yes, yes.
And he was finishing up an invasion run on the other team's side with Gambit, and there was nobody else around. So before he finished up, he noticed that the heavy ammo was available on the other side. So like the countdown's ticking down, 3, 2. And as he leaves, he fires off 2 Telesto bursts and leaves the void charges on the power ammo. When he goes back over to the side, a few seconds later, you hear the kill sound come.
Because somebody ran over to grab the heavy and it killed him. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome stuff. Some sweet maneuvers there that are going to be available to you. What's give me something else you're excited about, Brent, with Forsaken?
The actual hunt of the Barons. I think this sounds really awesome because you can basically hunt them down in any order that you want. And they're all so unique and so different, and they're all going to be one-on-one battles, so they're all going to play out a lot differently. So that's one thing I'm really excited about is the hunt of the Barons, because we've seen them in the videos, and these are badass-looking villains. I mean, these are Uldren's 8 Barons, and they look incredibly badass. And I just love the fact that you can kind of chase them down in any order that you want to play it out. And I think that's really cool. It's cool. It doesn't make it as linear as what you saw from previous campaigns. Like, you can just pick, I want to go here, and I want to do this one. So really looking forward to battling the Barons.
Yeah, love the non-linearity. Definitely that's going to be awesome to kind of go in there and choose to fight those guys as we see fit. And that's something else, man. This is weeks removed now from when this article came out, but the Outlaw lost sectors that are tied into that as well, and how lost sectors are changing, becoming more interesting along with the flashpoints as well. So it's like you forget all about this stuff. We talked about it, a month ago now because everything that's been going on. But yeah, that's super exciting. Like these play spaces, which were far more interesting, like I mentioned, than Destiny 1's play spaces. Like, they're going to get even more interesting with Forsaken, and this goes for all the destinations. We're going to have more exciting lost sectors on all the planets. We're going to have more exciting flashpoints on all the planets. So these, just by virtue of Forsaken releasing, everything's basically going to become more interesting planet side when you're down there participating in adventures. And I think all the planets are getting heroic adventures now. So just by and large, just the whole of the environment's going to become far more interesting. The other thing I'm excited about, and they're kind of in the game right now just by error, but the random rolls obviously returning. This is going to completely change the end game of Destiny 2, and it's probably the main feature that people wanted in terms of the end game in Destiny 2. Like, we need this in the game. This makes getting your 100th Better Devils still relevant, still interesting as you're trying to search out that god roll or get that ultimate roll that you want on these weapons. So we're getting more perks on our weapons, more customization. The new mod system added into this just adds a whole extra layer to how you can customize your weapons. So the amount of say we're going to have over our Guardian and how we want our Guardian to play and the play style we create for our Guardian is just going to go up exponentially with the release of Forsaken tomorrow. So I'm really excited just to have that aspect of the game back, and maybe I can go back to Reddit and pull out some of these ridiculous tables that go over the god rolls for all the guns and see if I can start comparing notes to see if I can find my god roll for these guns. And I'm really, really looking forward to getting back to that, man. That was an obsession I had with the first Destiny. So and obviously that applies to the armor as well, like getting actual usable perks besides just the base stats that the armor in Destiny 2 right now gives you is also really, really exciting.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and Xur was selling items this week that had the new, like, exotics that had the new roll system. Like, I actually got he had a knucklehead radar, but it had the perks on them now. Like, I have one perk on it where my hand cannons have better target acquisition, faster reload, I think, and there was one other thing for that. And then the next perk I chose on it was of a higher chance of a heavy ammo to drop. So, I mean, I was like, oh, man, that's awesome. Now, and it dropped to 340, and I was like, oh, crap. But then I remembered I have the one helmet that dropped accidentally, the Forsaken piece that was 397. And then so I was like, okay, well, I'll infuse it into my exotic, and boom, there it was. You need 10 of these resources the data lattice, I think it is, on
Yep.
on Nessus. So I was like, oh crap! So I went to Nessus, and there I was, just like Destiny 1, farming for resources. I had to go out and find like 10 of them. Then I was like, okay, sweet. Now I can upgrade this thing. Now the Knucklehead Radar will work really good for me when I have Crimson attached, because I got the handgun perk, and then I also run with Sins of the Past. So now I've got the more heavy, the higher chance of heavy to drop. So I was like, man, this is really sweet. I got a first glimpse of like not only how effective these are going to be, but also the fact that I've got to go out and grind to get those resources, so it's going to make me work to get the weapon that I want. I dig that. That's that incentive to upgrade or to infuse that item. I had to go out and get resources because it was so attractive with those perks. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm back in this stuff. I'm back in the resource hunt.
Yeah, and thankfully, each week the vendors on the planets are going to have bounties, or maybe even each day you might be able to go in there and get a bounty to get these resources. That's really going to help a lot. Obviously, in Destiny 1, you could get to a point where you're like, man, I have no bloom or whatever from Venus that I need to infuse into this. So I got to go to Venus, put on a ghost that helps me track this stuff down to see what I can find. But being able to go to a destination, speak to a vendor, have a bounty available to help you get this stuff helps exponentially. And when you were able to do that with like Varix and Destiny 1, he was able to give you like these just bundles of these supplies. It really helped out. So definitely happy that's going to be a feature here. And so just so I understand this correctly, Brent, so exotic weapons will still have their static roles that we've come to expect, but exotic armor will not be privy to the new exotic armor perks. Is that correct? That's
what I saw. Like I said, Knucklehead Radar never had those before. These are all updated for year 2 with the perk system, which I was like, oh my. And like I said, it was just totally awesome when it dropped. I seen the perks. I was like, oh my god, those are really perks that are designed for my style of play. I get the higher chance for heavy and the better target acquisition, reload, and something else with the hand cannon. I was like, that's perfect. That's what I need.
Yeah, definitely. So was that how it was in Destiny 1? Did Destiny 1 exotic armor have random perks on them? I'm getting old and I can't remember this stuff now.
Let's ask the chat. Does anyone remember Destiny 1? Do you remember? Does the armor at the end of the day when Destiny 1 came to an end, did the armor have perks to them? I believe they did. I want to say they did because I remember that
they did as well.
Carry more heavy ammo was always one, and then there was always like something else like unnerving. I think it was or less flinch when you're using. I thought those were a part of Destiny 1 armor pieces.
Well, Tipsy's got 2,000 hours of Destiny, so hopefully he remembers just a scant bit of those 2,000 hours.
Fear the Beard said yes, they did.
All right, Beard, coming through in the clutch. Thanks. So yeah, obviously that's definitely exciting. Brent, something else you're excited about with Forsaken, man?
Oh, jeez. I mean, there's really a ton. Breakthrough, I'd say, is the other thing that I'm really excited about. Breakthrough with the new multiplayer mode. I think that comes out like 2 weeks or 3 weeks after Forsaken drops.
It's right after the Iron Banner week. Breakthrough makes its appearance after that.
Yeah, I like the tug of war in that game. I think that could be a nice mode to play. I mean, control is always a lot of fun, but this one's going to require a little bit more communication. There's more risk and reward. If you want to charge into the center, if you want to make a hard push for the final spot. So anytime you get a new mode that is objective based, I'm always down for that. I mean, I love like Rumble and I love Mayhem, and I think those are cool modes. But I've always been more of an objective based guy, and that's what this is. So I'm really excited for Breakthrough.
Yeah, and in addition to that, we're going to get Control and Clash as a part of the competitive rotation as well. So you can have, more intense versions of those matches if you so choose as well. So, yeah, I mean, just wholesale, we talked about it a few weeks ago on Tower Talk, but just wholesale, the Crucible getting a number of changes, and most of them are good. So the Crucible just continues to get better and better. That ranking system, I think, is going to be even more exciting here in Season 4 with the upcoming Forsaken season. So yeah, definitely looking forward to getting in there, trying out these new modes, especially, and just getting in there. And of course, power level mattering coming back with Iron Banner as well. So that's going to be really exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about, like you said, in terms of things that we're excited about. We can talk about Iron Banner and Trials coming back at some point, whatever form that's going to take, and, having a new story, and we can go on and on and on. The last thing I'm just going to touch on is The Last Wish. So this is the new raid that's coming with Forsaken, and if you've been playing Destiny for any length of time, raids are a big deal. They're for my money the best content in a Destiny game, and I've really got a chance to experience that firsthand, like this last month. That's one of the things that's made this last month so fun. We finally got a chance to get into these raids, Brent. We finally got a chance to get in here and see what these things are all about. So we've conquered the Leviathan Raid, conquered Eater of Worlds. Actually, was finally got a chance to experience Spire of Stars for the first time, and that thing's epic and extremely challenging. I didn't even get past the final encounter. It's extremely mechanics heavy, but really cool, really well designed. Eater of Worlds I thought was spectacular. The Leviathan Raid, once you figure out the nuances and everything about it, is really cool. There's that whole underbelly, and there's so many secrets in that raid that we've yet to even scratch the surface on. So and obviously with Destiny 1, I mean, what can you say about the Vault of Glass, Crota's End, King's Fall, Wrath of the Machine? Like, all that stuff's just super fun and some of the best content that game had to offer. So with the Last Wish coming out and this being the most bosses we've ever seen in a raid, that's one of the cool things, Brent. The Leviathan was very mechanics heavy throughout all of its iterations. So whether it's the Leviathan raid itself or the 2 raid layers that were associated with it, they were all based around going through these mechanics heavy encounters leading up to an ultimate boss battle at the end. Whereas something like King's Fall, you know, in Destiny 1 was just a gauntlet of boss battles, and I mean, there's a lot of other stuff in that raid that's an epic raid, but the Last Wish is going to be, I think, when all is said and done, more like King's Fall. Like, this is going to have the most bosses we've ever had in a raid. It's seemingly focused around the Taken, in the Dreaming City, in this area in the middle of the city. There's just a lot of really exciting stuff about the Last Wish raid, man. And you know, I actually have to go out of town on business next week, so I won't be at the recommended power level or whatever for the raid whenever they release the information on that. But I'm looking forward to the day when we can get in there and participate in the Last Wish. It's always a huge event. We finally get in there and can participate in a raid. So. Yeah. So there's like I said, a lot of stuff we can talk about in terms of what we're excited about, and there's many things we haven't touched on. But Brent, from here I wanna talk a little bit about some concerns we may have with the game, and I'm gonna start this discussion off with the narrative. So there's 2 ways we could go at this. One, on one side of the coin, I think we're both really excited about the narrative for Forsaken. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. But the world of Destiny 2 is one of the best sci-fi worlds out there. The lore is incredibly rich. Now, if you ever just watch a guy like My Name is Bifer or read the Grimoire cards, or just dig into all the history and just the world that they've built with Destiny, the world is second to none in terms of sci-fi. It's a spectacular world that they've created. Where Destiny has fallen short time and time again is in the actual execution of the core narrative in the games and expansions that they release. The one time, in my opinion, where they excelled narratively was in the Taken King. So the Taken King, still to this day, for my money, is the best Destiny narrative that we've got up to this point. And it's because it was simple, man. It was a simple story. It was a simple story of a guy in Oryx. We killed his son in Crota. He's like, all right, I'm not having this. I'm going to get revenge for my son. I'm invading, and I'm going to take out these Guardians and continue to spread my Taken army across the galaxy. Like, it's a simple story that we can all wrap our heads around, and I think that's why it was so successful. It allowed somebody like Cayde 6 to take center stage and, you know, be himself, and we got a lot more cinematic cutscenes and a lot more dialogue and a lot more personality out of Zavala and Ikora and Cayde, like and Eris Morn. Like, these characters got to actually be characters for once, and we have that same opportunity with Forsaken here. So this is a story that, once again, is just about revenge. It's a very simple story. We're going into the reef. Cayde's going up there to help. He ends up falling at the hands of Uldren Sov and the Barons. Our job is to now go get revenge for Cayde and take these dudes out. This is a simple story that we can wrap our heads around. So in a lot of ways, this has the potential to be the next Taken King narrative, in my opinion. This has a chance to let these characters shine, let them show a little bit of emotion at Cayde's fate, and let us go out and just take the law into our own hands, like Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson style, and just start wreaking havoc on the Barons across this like Western-inspired landscape. So that's a really, really exciting setup for the narrative of this game. So the question becomes now, Brent, is can they deliver on that promise? You know, in the past, something like Warmind seems like an incredibly promising story. Like, here's Rasputin, somebody we've been wondering about for a very long time. Anna Bray, somebody we've heard about in the Grimoire and been wondering about for a very long time. The Hive Worm Gods, like these legendary creatures that we've heard about. We finally get to come face to face. All that fell flat with the execution of Warmind. But I will tell you, I have a little bit of a different feeling about the narrative of Forsaken. I have high hopes for this. I hope that they can deliver at least a Taken King level narrative with Forsaken here. But I'm excited to get in here and learn more about the story, more about the world of Destiny. I always love learning that stuff, even if the narrative itself doesn't come out on the end as something that something to write home about. But Brent, what do you think, man? Where are we at on the narrative with Forsaken?
Well, I touched on it earlier, and it's, Osiris and Warmind were disappointing, and even the base story for Destiny 2 with Gaul was disappointing, and there was a lot of hype because, when after Destiny 1 came to a close, Taken King included, it was just a general opinion. It wasn't a very good story from start to finish. It was just very light, it was shallow, and it wasn't as deep as it could have, considering all things considered, how big the universe is, how much time they put into everything else, the Grimoire cards. Not a lot of that stuff translated well over to the actual in-game stuff that we saw. So now here we are. We have Aldrin Sov. He just kills off one of the arguably the most iconic Destiny 2 player or character in Cade 6, and we're hunting him down. If Bungie cannot make this I'm not even looking for emotional, just an impactful story. If they can't do that, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. Okay, look, there's a lot on the line for this story. They've done a lot of hype. The trailers have been awesome. We got to see, Ikora and Zavala showing their emotions a little bit to the loss of Cade. They're building up all the stuff that we've seen in these trailers, and I just hope they can find deliver. Aldrin Sov should be an awesome villain. He should be an awesome villain. He killed Cade 6. I shouldn't just have to see him sitting around talking to the speaker or talking trash to one dude in the room the whole time like we saw Gaul. I want to see Aldrin Sov after he kills Cade 6. I want to see him out there doing terrible things. I want to see him ordering terrible things for the Barons to carry out, terrible missions. I want Aldrin Sov to be a character I hate. Okay, he killed Cade 6. So I want a strong narrative there. Apparently our Guardian's going to talk. Hopefully he or she isn't an idiot, and it can provide some good dialogue in the scenes there. Based on what we saw in the trailer, our Guardians look like they're going to talk. So, there's just a lot of stuff that has to work here, because as much as I want to get hyped for the story, I was burned by the Gaul narrative. I was burned by Osiris, and we were just slapped in the face with Warmind. But, you talk about the Taken King. That was an excellent expansion with a great story, and it was very straightforward. They have an opportunity to do the same thing here, but I would just like a little more depth. This is Cade 6 we're talking about, okay? Mm-hmm. This is Cade 6. This isn't Oryx's son. This is Cade 6. So that's what I'm just hyped for this. I hope this is an awesome story. I really, really do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%, man. One of the other exciting things too is how much lore they're bringing into the game as well.
Right.
They have a whole new lore tab in the way that you're going to be able to experience and interact with lore in the world. So if they can continue to build on that aspect of the game, which is already extremely strong, and build up this narrative that we can all get behind, like that could be really exciting, man. So excited, nervous at what's eventually going to come out of the narrative for Destiny 2 Forsaken, but Tuesday night, man, that's going to be the first thing I hop into. Be hopping into the narrative and experiencing the Tangled Shore and seeing what this is all about, man. What else, Brent, is concerning you? And specifically here, I want to touch back on something that you brought up at the beginning of the show. So you expressed that this is, Bungie has a lot riding on this. So can you touch on that once again? Maybe elaborate on that a little bit further. What is so concerning about this release for them?
Because the type of game that Destiny should be, that we all want it to be, that we saw could be at the end of Destiny 1. That's the game that we all really want. A game that is a hobby, the only game that we play. Okay, and when Destiny 2 launched, it seemed like that at first, but then as time went on, we realized this wasn't the game that we were really hoping it would be. And we lost a lot of the community because of that. And I understand why. Like I said, I'm not going to hate on the people that hated the game. I understand there's a lot of stuff missing. You and I just happen to... people are different. People can deal with disappointment and still push through and find the positives. There are others that feel slighted, and I understand, because Destiny 1 was their thing. This was the game they played all day. And when they came to Destiny 2, and once they got past the narrative and once they got past the story and hit the end game stuff, they realized, man, there's just not enough for me to do here. I can understand why they were disappointed. I get that. I really, really do. But, it's just I don't think the community can take another one of those hits. I really don't think they can, because with Anthem on the horizon and the Division 2, two games that are going to try to do what Destiny 1 did and try to make or not make the same mistakes Destiny 2 started off with. These are legitimate threats. Okay, this is BioWare and this is Ubisoft. These are two big developers that have already tried their hands at something like that. Well, especially the Division anyways. They've tried their hands at it. And the Division has made a nice run here late. So they know what they're doing, what they need to focus on for Division 2. If the Forsaken expansion and everything else does not deliver, there's going to be a lot of more enticing options out there come spring. That's my biggest concern. They have to deliver to everybody, not just you and I who want a good story. They need to make sure everything is there. Everything has to be deep. The Dreaming City has to really have a lot of secrets, not just a few. We need more hidden weapon quests. We need more exotic quests that just randomly show up out of nowhere. We need all that stuff. This has to be consistent. It has to happen consistently, not just once in a great while. The community wants shit to do. There has to be stuff to do at launch and long after.
Yeah, and I'm definitely confident that we're going to get that. Bungie is basically said as much to all of that stuff that you just brought up there. And let me get your thoughts on this, Brent. So I was thinking about this as you're talking about this, but when it comes down to it, for me, it's this game's basically already been fixed. Like a lot of the issues that we have with this game, with the release of Update 2.0, this game's basically addressed most of those concerns already. Dude, I have been playing Destiny 2 nonstop since the release of Warmind over the last 2 months. It's the only game I've been playing, and it's like consumed my life again. And when we see things like the Whisper quest come out, and every week on This Week at Bungie, we have just a huge post with a laundry list of things that we're discussing on Tower Talk, with all of the things that they went in and they've adjusted. And by the time Forsaken releases, it will literally have touched every single aspect of this game, every single line of code, every single aspect of this game. They've gone in there and massaged based on the community feedback. And it's one of those things where I just respect what Bungie has done, and it's been really interesting watching all of this unfold right before our very eyes and chronicling this on the podcast and on Tower Talk. Being able to watch Bungie just address us every single week, change the way that they communicate with their fans, change their prideful stance on things. Some of the stuff that we've seen from Destiny 2 sort of never happened in Destiny 1. And part of that maybe is because of the position that they were in and all of the acclaim and the fan base that they had built up, but they kind of came face to face with their own hubris with Destiny 2, and they came face to face with the fact that, all right, we need to make some changes here, or we're in danger of losing this hardcore crowd that got us to the point that we're at now. So they realized after Curse of Osiris, like, look, our fan base, the one that we need to cater to, is the hardcore fan base that made Destiny 1 thrive each and every week. These guys that were on here every single night, grinding for God Roll weapons, grinding for that perfect raid gear, grinding through trials and Iron Banner to get the best stuff that they could find. Like, that's our community. That's the people we need to make this game for. And if we can get other people to come along for the ride as well, like, awesome. If we can create systems that somehow can bring them into the fold while not being a deterrent to our hardcore crowd, like, that's what we need to do. And they've gone over the last 6 months, and that's exactly what they've done. They just chipped away at this thing to the point now where it's like I'm playing Destiny right now, Brent, more than I ever have. And it's just for me, like, what I want to see now is I want to see the narrative stuff. All the other stuff that comes with this game, I feel like either has already been fixed, or I'm extremely confident, based on what they've told us is going to be in this game, is going to be fixed. And dude, I will be absolutely floored if Forsaken does not deliver the kind of experience that we're hoping it can and will be, which is one of the reasons I'm incredibly excited for tomorrow, man.
No, and I'm with you. Like I said, and I think a lot of this stuff is subjective. We have some Short Paws Guardians who were diehard Destiny 1 fans. And when they hit that point in Destiny 2 after, that everyone hit after the game, after the story was done, they got to the end game stuff. It just wasn't there for them. But you and I were like, hey man, I mean, yeah, there's issues, but we were like, we're gonna fight through it. We'll battle with Bungie.
It's still Destiny.
It's still Destiny, and there's still stuff I want to do. But I do understand the other side. People we're slighted, and I understand why. If you know what, man, I think it just depends on what I do as well. I can only play a couple hours at night. That's about the extent of my gameplay. There are a lot of people out there that can play a lot more than that, and maybe to them, they're playing more, and it's more apparent that there's just not enough to do. You and I happened, for the longest time, we were like, okay, Wednesday nights, that's the night we're going to go play. Wednesday nights are nights, and we knock out all the milestones, we do everything we did. We're like, all right, cool, we're good. And, we'd maybe hop on a few times more during the week, do stuff, but it was primarily Wednesday nights, whereas Destiny 1, it was every single night. Every single night we were doing stuff, and it just did. It's clear as day, dude. It was not the same as with Destiny 2, and I think that's where the hardcore audience, a lot of the folks that were like, "Hey, man, this isn't a hobby. This is a Wednesday night thing for me." And for some people, that is not enough. For myself, with my work schedule, with kids and family and all that stuff, I was cool with Wednesday night. I'm actually concerned now because if Forsaken King does work, now I am going to be playing every single night. I'm even neglecting my family, and not getting any sleep for work. So I'm kind of hoping Forsaken's terrible. No, I'm just joking. But it's just, it's subjective, and it's going to be different for a lot of people. But, like you said, though, I mean, they're saying all the right things, and they've made a lot of the good changes. And what we saw in 2.0 already is really, really good. The weapon slots feel good. The weapons all feel good. The time to kill feels good. And a lot of stuff that they're promising is going to launch tomorrow all sounds really good, dude, but it has to last us more than one day. Will it have the whatever it needs to keep us on every single night? We don't know yet. And that's my only concern. Is it going to be there every single night? Moments of Triumph had me on every single night, but now Moments is done. Now we're at expansions and just to play the game. Is there going to be enough to keep me there every single night? That's what I want to see.
And it's funny because a lot of the stuff that kept us pushing with Moments of Triumph is essentially going to be in this game, in the triumphs, in the collections, in the record books that are coming into this game now.
It's all right there waiting for us.
And they added that thing they talked about recently too, where you're actually going to get a title underneath your name if you're able to accomplish these things or finish off these books. So that's really cool as well. They were talking about the chronicler title for the person who could finish off the lore book. They were just saying it's like how epic of an achievement that's going to be. So if you see somebody in the world walking around with the chronicler title underneath their name, they're a badass.
Yeah.
So that stuff is super cool, man. And I think for me, Brent, I'm extremely confident that no matter what kind of Destiny player you are, if you're a lapsed Destiny player, somebody who played Destiny 1 just nonstop, I really confidently believe if you hop into Destiny right now tonight, even before Forsaken releases, I think you're going to find a game that you're really able to get behind and really get excited about and really be like, damn, this really is like the Destiny that I wanted. Like, this is the game that I wanted Destiny 2 to be. Like, I'm confident that people are going to find that, and just with everything that we've heard about Forsaken, getting this new pillar and Gambit, and just everything that's going into it, man. I just don't see how they mess this up, man. I just don't see it. Don't see how they mess this up. Now, I should preface that too with I've reserved the fact that if we get a strong narrative out of Destiny, it's just kind of icing on the top. So I'm going into Forsaken obviously excited about the possibilities of the narrative, but if we come out at the end of that narrative and it's like it wasn't all it could have been, I'm just gonna be like, all right, whatever. This is what I've been dealing with for the last 4 years. No biggie. I'm just gonna go back to shooting stuff and having fun. So some other people obviously are going to put more stock into the narrative and be more disappointed in it. But I'm of the mind right now that if the narrative's good, that's just the cherry on the top, baby.
Hey, I got a question for you. This is a question that Tipsy put up in the chat. I got to get your thoughts on this. Is Aldrin Sov the King Joffrey or Ramsay Bolton of Destiny 2?
Ooh.
Man. Joffrey was more annoying, like just smug, but Ramsay was he's a psycho. Ramsay was a flat-out psycho. Now, based on the trailers of what we saw, what we've seen so far of Aldrin Sov, I'm going to lean towards Ramsay just because like seriously, Joffrey, I wanted to hit him with a spiked bat every time he was on TV. I'm just like, oh my god, I hate this guy. But like Ramsay was like devious and just demented. And obviously it's hard to pin one of those on Aldrin Sub. I would lean towards Ramsay.
Yeah, they both make my skin crawl. Both of those guys. Like I haven't got that vibe yet from Aldrin, so I'm gonna go with option C here, Tipsy, and I don't think he's either one of those guys.
Ooh.
I think one of the things that I'm really hoping that they do with the narrative of Forsaken is I really hope they develop Aldrin as not like the bad guy. I really want to understand his motivations. I want to understand what he's been through and why he's doing the things that he's doing. Bungie's hinted that we're going to get that. For Joffrey and for Ramsay, those guys sucked. They're just despicable human beings, and I don't know if they had a reason to be despicable other than that was just who they were. They were just despicable people. But I really wanna dig deeper with Aldrin. Like I want to know what drives him and what is causing him to do the things that he's doing. So if they can do that, I think we'll have the potential to have a villain that's maybe more like a Magneto, a guy that we can empathize with and understand why he's doing the things that we're doing. Obviously, that empathy is maybe not the right word because he killed Kate and we're gonna want to like take his head off. But I wanna dig inside of his head a little bit, and I want to know why he's doing the things that he's doing. And I hope that Bungie gives us good answers.
That's fair enough. That's good.
I
think it's a good answer.
Yeah. So, Brent, we've got a little trivia question for the people here. So you dropped little hints previously throughout the week that we're gonna have a giveaway on the show.
I did.
And what are we giving away, sir?
We are giving away a standard edition of Destiny 2 Forsaken for one lucky winner on your platform of choice. And all you have to do is answer a question we got here for you.
Yeah. So, trivia question. A very straightforward trivia question for you guys. And so how are we doing this? First person to put the answer in the chat, they're the winner?
We're streaming currently to Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube, but I have a chat here with timestamps and everything, so I'll be able to see exactly who comes in first from whichever platform. So if you're on Twitch, YouTube, or Mixer, whatever one you're on, just be prepared to answer quickly. I have a timestamp here for all three chats. They're all right here on one thing. I'll be able to see who replies first, and whoever replies first, I'll get a hold of you through either social media or through your PSN or Xbox ID, and I'll get you the code.
All right. So here's the trivia question, Brent. So in 2010, after completing work on the Halo series, Bungie, of course, began work on their new project, which would eventually become Destiny. The question for you guys, though, is under what code name was this game being developed? Ooh. So what was the original code name for Destiny prior to its launch?
I'll keep an eye on the chat.
First correct answer wins a standard edition copy of Forsaken on the platform of their choice. So, moving on from here now, Brent, let's get the people prepared for Forsaken now.
Yes. So
Forsaken launches tomorrow. It doesn't launch at midnight though, so we are not 40 minutes away from the launch of Forsaken. We were with Destiny 2. So when Forsaken launches, it will launch. So we got the standard maintenance window, which is from 7 a.m. Pacific to 10 a.m. Pacific. Once 10 a.m. Pacific rolls around, though, Forsaken will be live. So make sure you have your console set to auto download, so the update will be live. And then once 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific hits, we'll be able to hop into the world of Forsaken, and it's on and popping, Brent.
Man, it's on and popping, and we already got a winner. I mean, seriously, Fear the Beard comes in hot with the answer. The answer being Project Tiger was the code name for Destiny back in 2010 or when they started production on it. Yep. But yes, Project Tiger, Fear the Beard. I obviously have you on PlayStation Network. Are you on Xbox? Whatever platform you're on, dude. I'll get a hold of you on PlayStation. I'll send you a code for Destiny 2 Forsaken Standard Edition, and I'll do that as soon as I get done with the show here. Depends on how quickly I get the code, but I will get that to you right away.
Congrats, Beard. Good stuff, man.
Fear the Beard, man. He's always on stuff. I love Beard. Beard is on point. If we need to
Beard's
get a raid done, boom, Beard shows up. If I need a trivia question answered, boom, Beard shows up. I like Beard, dude. Beard's good people.
Yeah, Beard's on it, man. So a couple other things so people are aware. So obviously tomorrow Forsaken goes live. The raid goes live on September 14th. So this gives you on Friday. I think it's same time. I think it's 10 a.m. Pacific time that the raid goes live. So I'll have to double check that as well. But that'll be live. The Last Wish raid will be live. We still don't have details on the power levels that are going to be required for that. Brent, you got any thoughts on that, or did we kind of settle on maybe we're thinking 500 being the required level for that?
At the very least, it's going to be 500. It's going to be somewhere over 500. But yeah, I think 500 or 550 is what we're looking at here.
Yeah, 550. That's just going to be a tall order.
This is going to be the premier thing. Depend. Because Gambit's not going to be power level related. Obviously, the Nightfalls are going to be important. I can see the Nightfalls being in the 500s as well, but I would think the raid would be, or at least the prestige version. Oh, we're not doing prestige versions anymore, are we? I thought I remember them saying
there's no prestige for the
Nightfall. Nightfall, that's what it is. I'm thinking Nightfall.
Could be different for the raid. I would assume they'll still have. Maybe they don't call it prestige. Maybe they call it something else. But there definitely will be some type of a harder mode available for the raid at some point. But September 14th, Last Wish goes live. September 18th, Iron Banner returns. We will have that weekend or that week circled on our calendar for sure. Because not only will the Iron Banner rules return, where the control points get locked down, but power level will matter for the first time in Iron Banner. That's going to be a very, very interesting week early on in the season of the Outlaw here. September 25th, that breakthrough map goes live. So we'll be on the competitive playlist on that for sure, checking that out. Anything else that people need to know about Forsaken, Brent, prior to the launch that you can think of?
Dude, I think we've hit this thing so many times the last couple Tower Talks. But I mean, other than when it's going to be available, which is 1 p.m., I can't think of anything else. I mean, just get ready. That's pretty much it. Get a good night's sleep tonight. This is all I can tell people is get a good night's sleep, because you're not going to be sleeping for the next week and a half while you play through the story and playing Gambit and whatnot. So get your rest. That's my only piece of advice. Get your rest, people.
If you are playing Destiny tonight or early tomorrow morning before the game goes down for its maintenance time, I would recommend stocking up on planetary materials if you can.
Yes.
So get out there if you're just roaming around the open world. Stock up on those data lattices and duskelites and all that kind of stuff. That stuff is going to be 100 times more useful in Forsaken once that rolls around. So if you've got packages with Devrim K and all these guys, don't turn those in. Save that stuff. Hold on to it because you're going to need it for Forsaken. Same thing with weapon parts. The gunsmith is going to require 100 weapon parts not to get a package instead of 40. So this is ramped up considerably. So hold on to those so that you are ready to go. If you have any engrams, maybe hold on to those. See if they decrypt with new items when Forsaken launches tomorrow. So if you're on the game tonight, think about that kind of stuff while you're playing through, and you guys will be ready for the launch tomorrow.
Question for you. Beard wants to know, does anyone know if the annual pass is available for purchase separately? I believe it is. I think it's like $29.99 or no?
I believe the annual pass is $39.99.
Checking right now, Beard. Hang on one sec.
Is it available separately?
I thought you could buy it separately. I mean, I can't see them tying it in. Because what if you already bought Forsaken? I mean, if they're selling Forsaken separately, they have to sell the annual pass separately.
Definitely the annual pass will be available separately. I just wasn't sure if it was available by itself yet.
Oh, right now, I'm not sure.
If it was only available as part of a bundle. Curious about this, though, because I believe it's $39.99 separately or $34.99 if you purchase it as part of a bundle.
Yeah, I'm checking right now. Tell jokes. Talk about your efficiency level in Crucible.
That hurts. What? Yeah, actually, my efficiency level has gone down a little bit yesterday. But Brent, with the weapon slot changes, sniper rifles and fusion rifles are now in the second slot. So yesterday when I was playing, I was like, you know what? The last ornament I need for my Crucible gear is this one for sniper rifle kills. And since I can now put a sniper rifle into my special slot and always have ammo, and I don't have to worry about tracking down power ammo to use this thing. Yeah, well, what the hell? Let's give it a whirl. Let's see how many kills I can get. So I spent yesterday and racked up basically half of my kills. So I've got something like 47, 50 sniper rifle kills yesterday, and I'm like, so now tonight, that's the only thing I have left to do is to get that ornament, is to get a few more sniper rifle kills. I think I might give it a whirl, man.
I think you should go for that. As of right now, Beard, there is no annual pass separately on the PlayStation Store from what I can see. I'm assuming it's the same for Xbox Live. So I think what they'll probably do is, because I don't think it comes out, the first one doesn't drop until December.
No, until December, yeah.
Yeah, that's Black Armory. So I'm assuming at some time prior to that, the annual pass will come up as well.
Yeah, 100% you'll be able to buy that separately at some point because, people that, like, for instance, bought the, what's the GameStop bundle that they're selling? That only includes the standard version of Forsaken inside of the Legendary Collection. So everybody that buys the Legendary Collection, they have to have access to the annual pass at some point. So no question that will be available separately. That's interesting too, Brent. The annual pass is maybe the most exciting part of this year 2 roadmap for Destiny 2, man. Like all the content that could be coming to this game. Like I said, we could never stop playing this game, which is insane.
I don't want to. I don't want to stop playing it.
Me neither, man. We've been going at it hard these last 2 months, and I would like to see that continue. It also lessens the burden in terms of like the games that come out every week. Like this fall, dude, when these games are coming out, I'd be like, yeah, the game looks awesome. I'd like to play it at some point, but I don't have to buy it right now. I got Destiny.
Too busy playing Destiny 2.
Yeah, so it's less of a burden to buy all these games. As far as our own plans for Forsaken, Brent, in terms of how we want to cover this game for the channel, how we want to play this game ourselves, what are we thinking? Like, how are we going to handle this thing?
I think obviously there won't be a Tuesday night indie spotlight this week. It's just going to be a lot of Destiny 2. We'll just be streaming every night. And I think we'll just kind of tackle things as they come at us. If we've got just 3 of us on, we'll just work on the story. If there's more of us on, we can always jump into Gambit. We can jump into Crucible. There's really no limit on what we can do. So it just depends on who's around. If people are on, if we got more people than 3 that want to play, some of the Short Pause Guardians are back in action, we can always just hop into Crucible or hell, do some Nightfalls. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can do. Gambit, though, will be one of the priorities for sure.
Gambit for sure will be happening this week. For sure, tomorrow night we will be streaming the story.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we'll be hopping into the beginning of Forsaken. We'll play through however many missions we play through in however long we stream, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So, this is, like we talked about, going to be a very interesting narrative in terms of the way we tackle it, because at some point we're going to have a non-linear choice about how we want to tackle this. So even whether we want to get off the beaten path and do side stuff and go embark on Gambit or do strikes or whatever the case may be, like we're gonna have that option as we're going through the narrative here. So it's gonna be interesting to see like how we ebb and flow with that and how we decide to tackle that when it's all said and done. One other thing I want to throw out there is obviously the raid goes live on September 14th. We won't be able to participate on September 14th. I won't be at the power level. There's no way. I'll be out of town. I don't think the first 5 days at the games I'll be able to get to the required power level. What we are going to try to do though, and what we always try to do at the beginning of these raids, is we want to put together a team that wants to go through the raid blind. So I think it's a pretty safe bet that you and Frankie will be on board for a blind raid run. But if any of you guys out there listening to the show or that listen to Tower Talk are interested in participating in a blind run of the Last Wish raid with us, please let us know. We want to put together a squad. We want to get these things locked down. So what we mean by blind raid is we're not reading walkthroughs, we're not watching videos. We're simply going into the raid and trying to figure things out and see where it takes us. We've done that with almost every single raid that's come out up to this point. And sometimes we fail, sometimes we succeed. But to me, Brent, that's always the most fun thing about these raids, when they initially come out and you get in there and you guys are working together as a team to try to figure out how these things work.
Yep.
So if anybody out there is interested in joining our blind raid team for the Last Wish, like I said, we won't do it like the minute it goes live on September 14th, so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to feel pressured to get your power level up. We're going to kind of take things as they go, and sometime in the near future after September 14th, we'll get in there and do a blind run of the Last Wish. You won't have to wait too long, but a little bit past September 14th, we'll get in there and make it happen.
Yeah, and again, we're not trying to deter anyone from going out and doing the raid and stuff.
Yeah,
ahead
if you want to do it,
definitely
go
and do the raid. That's totally cool. But the reason we just want to do it blind is because that's the most enjoyable way to do it. Figuring it out for yourself. And I understand it's there on YouTube, and I understand there's walkthroughs, and that's cool. And we utilize that. We did that when the moments came because we were like, hey, look, We need to get this done. We need to go in and get these done for the moment. So I understand, but we're not going to wait until the last minute like we did with the base Destiny 2 and the Leviathan Raid. We're going to be active in this community. We're going to be active with the raid. We just want to build up a fire team that is consistently ready to go, that wants to do the raid. And again, and Beard just said, I can't say for sure I won't be raiding beforehand, but I'm always down to battle with my fellow Guardians, and we love you for it, and that's totally awesome.
Appreciate that, dude.
And you've gotten us through the raid a couple times, so we really appreciate it. But yeah, that's the only reason we want to do it blind, is because it's the most rewarding way to experience the raid when you figure it out for yourself. We know we're not going to be the world's first. We're not in a rush to get through it. We don't have the time that a lot of people had, that they can grind to get to an acceptable power level where they make an impact. So it's just we're gonna play at our pace. But if there's 6 other Short Pause Guardians that are ready to go, you guys go. Don't wait for us. Just go and do it. But if you want to wait, we'd appreciate it. We'd love to play with you. That's how we're gonna tackle the raid.
Definitely, and especially after this last month, man, where we've really got to buckle down and participate in these raids. The raid content is awesome, and I want us to be extremely active in these raids throughout year 2 of Destiny 2. I have a feeling we're going to get some really good stuff out of here. So I definitely want us to buckle down on that and make that a part of our weekly rotation, and really get into that stuff, because it's been extremely enjoyable going through that stuff these past few weeks, and I would like to see that continue. So, Brent, that's about it, man. All that's left now is the waiting. It's the waiting and the downloading, and come this time tomorrow, dude, we're gonna be knee deep in Forsaken.
We gotta avenge
how does that feel?
We gotta avenge my boy here. We gotta avenge Cade.
I got mine in the mail. I actually ordered that as well, because why not just spend needless amounts of money on this game?
We're Destiny whores, dude. That's what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah. So mine will be arriving in the mail, hopefully tomorrow. But obviously we'll have the game digitally via the PSN as well, ready to go. So any final thoughts, man? Any parting words as we're on the eve of Forsaken here?
Just embrace it, you guys. We've spent months yelling at Bungie, begging Bungie to make changes, begging Bungie to make this the hobby we want it to be, and we're gonna find out just how much they've been able to do. We're going to find out just how much we mean to them and how much they listen to us when we jump into Forsaken tomorrow and we avenge Cade's death. So I can't wait for it, dude. I'm going to be really excited. I'll be joining my Short Pause Guardians. I'll be looking for everybody out there. The guys in the chat, Fear the Beard, Dark Shadow Wolf, Moudini, Flaro was in there. All you guys, Tipsy. We're always going to be looking for you guys, whether it's on Xbox, PlayStation 4, or PC. Short Pause Guardians are everywhere. We're ready to fight for Cade, dude.
Definitely, man. Cannot wait. Been looking forward to this for a really long time. Just having a ball with Destiny, looking to see that continue with the launch of Forsaken and all this new stuff we're gonna get to play with, man. We're gonna log into the director tomorrow and just be overwhelmed. Like, what do we do? Where do we go?
I'm going for the Wish Ender. Wherever the Wish Ender is, that's where I'll be.
All these new exotics, all this new loot to pick up, random rolls. I mean, it's exciting, man.
Hell yeah.
Can't wait. So, like Brent said, thanks to everybody who showed up in the chat. Thanks to all you guys that show up for Tower Talk every single week. We love talking to you. We love having you guys in the chat. Twitter handles are underneath our pictures here if you want to follow us for some strange reason. At the Short Pause on Twitter is how you follow us and the site and keep up to date with everything that we do here. If you like the video, definitely subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell so you know when we always go live. Leave a comment. We love all that kind of stuff. So, for Brent, I'm Ben. We will see you guys tomorrow in the Tangled Shore for Forsaken. Have a good night.
See you guys.